Hi Soul Drive, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be carrying on with the book 7th Ray, Revealer of the New Age. Thank you for joining me, Teresa and Al. Great to see you guys. I know you're out and about busy, but thank you for joining me and listening. Thank you for supporting me. I'll just give it a couple of seconds, see if anybody else turns up. And Chloe working as well today. Thank you very much for coming along. Well, I'm sure you'll watch later, so thank you. See you later. Right then. Everything seems to be okay. So quickly. Hope everybody's had a good day. Right, we're on chapters, well, we finished off on chapter 7 last time, sorry, chapter 6 last time. So we're just going to get straight into chapter 7. Now with chapter 7, 8 and 9, they're quite brief chapters compared to the rest of the book, so I'm just going to do, well, hopefully I'll get through all 3 of them, but I am pretty tired. I had the kids over the weekend, as you can imagine, Father's Day. Great fun, had lots of good times. It's amazing how much fun children can make with balloons. And me. I had lots of fun too, balloon fights and what have you. Hey Chloe, you made it back, great. Hope you're having a good day in work there. So yeah, Father's Day was really good. So yeah, they're very short chapters, 7, 8 and 9, so hopefully we'll get through all 3 of them. Because chapter 10, the last one's a big one. It'll probably take longer than an hour. Might break that into 2 sections actually. Anyway, enough of me waffling. Anybody trying to watch the whole book together is going to be, what's he waffling about all the time? So, get on with things. Hope you like the new lighting. I'm in blue today. Right, chapter 7, Esoteric Healing and the 7th Ray. The 7th Ray Technique. Sounds interesting. I do appreciate everybody who's stuck with me so far on this book. I know the book's not for everyone. It's quite heavy. And yeah, I have seen the numbers change quite a bit from chapters to chapters, so that's fair enough. So I do appreciate and I'm very grateful for everybody that is supporting my channel by tuning in, because obviously the numbers speak. The more views I get, the better my channel does. And all I'm trying to do is just help everybody, well, as many people as I can, in any way I can. So if you need my help, feel free to email me, davidberry80@googlemail.com. The email address is in my channel somewhere, in the descriptions, I believe. Any questions, anything I can help you with, give me a call. Also, don't forget, in the descriptions of each video now I'm posting my PayPal and a Discord server for chat. Reason I'm posting the PayPal is since I've started, well, being able to monetize my channel, I've noticed Chloe, yourself and Laurie, Pure Love Ascension, bless your hearts, you gave me super chat. But because my channel doesn't get enough views for me to actually get paid, Google kept the money. Okay, guys? So in future, if anybody would like to support my channel, the best bet is to make a donation via the PayPal link in the description below, rather than the super chat, because until I get a certain number of views per month, I don't get paid. It has to hit like a threshold for me to actually get any money, and they withhold the super chat in there, unfortunately, so I don't actually get that money. But thank you very much for trying. It is appreciated, and I wish I could get it back to you somehow. I hope Google spends it wisely. Its name is Google. Right, anyway, enough of me waffling, guys. Chapter 7, Esoteric Healing and the 7th Ray. Okay. Thank you, Teresa. It's not too bad. It's only a 1-bedroom flat. I've converted this room into an office, and the other room's my bedroom. I would love to find somebody who can actually translate this. Anybody recognises the language and they know what it is. I've tried finding it, but I haven't been able to. I'm very interested to know what it says, especially with the Naga symbology, and there's a sun up here doing something nasty. It's caught my eye in a shop once. Anyway, thank you. The 7th ray technique. Just realised my microphone's all over here, guys. Hope you can hear me okay. Hello. There we go. Probably sounds a bit better. Right then, the 7th ray technique. Energy and force must meet each other, and thus the work is done. Colour and sound in ordered sequence must meet and blend, and thus the work of magic can proceed. Substance and spirit must evoke each other, and passing through the centre of the one who seeks to aid, produce the new and good. The healer energies, thus with life, the failing life, driving it forth or anchoring it yet more deeply in the place of destiny. All 7 must be used, and through the 7 they must pass the energies the need requires, creating the new man who has forever been and will forever be, and either here or there. In this technique you have the clue to them all. For the work of the 7th ray healer is to bring together the life and the substance which will take the place of the substance which is diseased, and bring new life to aid the recovery. The glory of life lies in consummation and emergence. This is the prime task and the prime reward of all true healers. It is this technique of attraction and substitution which will be brought to a fine point of scientific expression in the coming new age, wherein the 7th ray will dominate our planet, producing that which is new and needed, and determining the coming culture, civilization and science. The 7th ray, cause of inharmony and disease. The Great One gathered to himself his forces and affirmed his intention to create. He created that which is outer and can be seen. He saw his creation and liked them not, and so withdrew his attention. Then the creations he had made died and disappeared. He had no lasting success and saw naught but failure as he travelled on the outer path of life. He comprehended not the need of forms. To some he gave an overplus of life, to some too little, and so both kinds died and failed, to show the beauty of the Lord who gave them life, but failed to give them understanding. He knew not then that love sustains. The effects of this ray force are most peculiar, and will be a great deal more prevalent than heretofore. As this ray is new coming into power, it is this energy which is largely responsible for infections and contagious diseases. The keynote of the work of the 7th ray is to bring together life and matter upon the physical plane. This, however, when viewed from the angle of imperfection, is a bringing together, if you can understand the implications, of life, the lives and the general livingness of the creative processes. This is symbolized by the promiscuity and the endless moving interplay of all life within all lives. The result is therefore the activity of all germs and bacteria within the medium which will best nurture them. Effect on the physical body. The disciple is learning to lift the energies gathered from the lower centers into the solar plexus, and from that center into the heart center, thus bringing about a refocusing of the energies above the diaphragm instead of putting the emphasis below. This leads frequently to profound complications because from the personality angle, the solar plexus center is the most potent, being the clearing house for the personality forces. It is that process of decentralization and elevation of the lower consciousness to the higher which produces the main difficulties to which the disciple is subject. It is this process also which is going on in the world as a whole today, causing the appalling disruption of human affairs, culture, and civilizations. Excuse me. The entire focus of humanity's consciousness is being changed. The selfish life, characteristic of a man centered in his desires and consequently in the solar plexus center, is giving place to the decentralized life of the man who is unselfish, centered in the self or soul. Aware of his relationships and responsibilities to the whole and not to the part, this sublimation of the lower life into the higher is one of deepest moment to the individual and to the race. Once the individual disciple and humanity as well, symbolizing the world disciple, have mastered the process of transference in this respect, we will see the new order of individual service of the world service established, and therefore the coming in of the awaited new order. Of all these processes, the circulation of the bloodstream is the symbol and the clue to the establishment of the world order lies hid in this symbology. Free circulation of all that is needed to all parts of the great framework of humanity. The blood is the life, and free interchange, free sharing, free circulation of all that is required for right human living will characterize the world to be. Today, these conditions do not exist. The body of humanity is diseased and its internal life disrupted. Instead of free circulation between all parts of the life aspect, there has been separation, blocked channels, congestion, and stagnation. It has needed the terrific crisis of the present to arouse humanity to its diseased condition, to the extent of the evil which is now discovered to be so great, and the diseases of the blood of humanity, symbolically understood, so severe that only the most drastic measures, pain, agony, desire, and terror, can suffice to establish a cure. Healers would do well to remember this, and to have in mind that disciples and all good men and aspirants share in this universal disease of humanity, which must take its toll psychologically or physiologically, or both. The trouble is of ancient origin and of long established habit and inevitability, affects the physical vehicle of the soul. Exemption from the effects of human ills is no indication of spiritual superiority. It might simply indicate that one of the masters has called the depths of spiritual selfishness and self-satisfaction. The initiate of the third degree can hold himself exempt, but this is only because he has completely freed himself from glamour, and no aspect of the personality life has any further power over him. All the ray types are equally subject to these particular problems. The seventh ray, however, is more susceptible to the problems, difficulties, and diseases incident to the bloodstream than are any of the other ray types. The reason is that this is the ray which has to do with the expression and manifestation of life upon the physical plane, and with the organization of the relationship between spirit and matter into form. It is concerned, therefore, today, as it seeks to create the new order with free circulation and with a consequently intended freedom of humanity from the ills and problems of the past. This is of interest to remember, and students would find it helpful at this time if they want to cooperate intelligently with the happenings of the day, to collect and study all that I have written about the seventh ray of ceremonial order and magic. That's the end of that bit. How's everybody doing in there? Hope everybody's having a good day. Hi, Elder Barry, good to see you. Thank you for coming. Hi, True Seeker, thank you very much for joining me. Great to see you. Appreciate you coming. Hi, Laurie, great to see you. Thank you for making it, love. Very good to see you, sister. So good to see you all. Really do appreciate you joining me. Get on to the next section now. Okay, healers on the second, third, and fifth rays use more generally the mode of laying on of hands or magnetic healing. This term applies to the direct act of laying on of hands upon the patient's physical body, and not to the action of the hands in the second method, when the hands are immersed in the etheric body of the patient and are definitely working in etheric matters. Healers on the first, fourth, and seventh rays use the mode of hand immersion, as it is sometimes called. The sixth ray healer is rare and is successful only when highly developed. He will then use both methods interchangeably. For sure. Today we are watching the passing out of the sixth ray energy and the growing power and activity of the seventh ray. The energy, which is withdrawing itself from our planet, is one of the cycle crisis has for centuries expressed itself through the planetary solar plexus, and also, as might be inferred, through the solar plexus center of the average aspirant. Excuse me. This has led to much of the digestive dysfunctions, plus the emotional problems, and are they not closely related, from which the majority of people have suffered in this age and generation. The intense one-pointed attitude, the fanatical state of mind, the sacrifice of the personal life to the sensed ideal have all brought about a dangerous condition in those organs of the body which lie below the diaphragm. This should be remembered. The seventh ray working, as it does through the center at the base of the spine, will in time have a peculiar effect upon the entire circulatory system. For this basic center is connected with the life force, and as you know, the blood is the life. It works with the highest center in the body and is therefore related to the entire problem of the polarities. It is consequently one of the factors which will increase the difficulties connected with the various psychological cleavages with which we have earlier dealt. It concerns the human triplicity of spirit, soul, body, and duality of soul and personality, and the major aspects of deity, spirit, and matter, as well as the many groups of the pairs of opposites with which the mystic is so constantly concerned, and which he has eventually to resolve into a unity. The recognition of this will make clear how complex are the problems of the possibilities arising out of the stimulation, which will be felt as the will to circulate. The will to relate and the will to express makes its presence felt with a manifestation of the seventh ray. This force, as far as the individual is concerned, will play upon the center at the base of the spine, arousing it into a hitherto unknown activity. These aspects of the will life are unfortunately for humanity far from fully developed. But much of the present world confusion and the swing between the expressed extremes are to be attributed to the play of these new forces. Much of the untimely and overemphasized expression of the will aspect of certain nations and individuals is connected with the coming into manifestation of this seventh ray and the passing out of the old. The problem is greatly increased by the fact that there is apparently a pronounced affinity between the fanatical idealistic will of the sixth ray, which is crystallized, directed, unwavering, emotional emphasis, and will force of the untrained magnetical worker who is influenced by the seventh ray energy working through the center at the base of the spine. Excuse me. In conclusion, I would like to tell you the reason I am refraining from more detailed information and from a clear analysis of the wording of these ancient formulas of healing, apart from the reason earlier stated, that men are not yet ready to be given explicit instructions. For the time being, anything I might say would appear to you puerile. That is the curious word for which seems to be descriptive of possible immediate reaction. We are on the verge of entering a new era in scientific unfoldment, owing to the discovery of how to release the energy of the atom. Not even the scientists responsible for the discovery have the faintest idea of the far-reaching effects of this momentous happening. From the angle of our subject and the theme of this volume, an entirely new language related to energy and force is already in the making, and the use of the discovery in the handling of disease will, in almost the immediate future, from the occult angle, be regarded as little short of miraculous. This discovery of atomic liberation has been brought about by the activity of the first ray in relation to the incoming seventh ray, and has its analogous situation in the liberation of the master at the fifth initiation, when the door of the tomb bursts wide open. And in the act of dying, when the imprisoned soul finds release, in the light of future scientific happenings, these ancient techniques will become much clearer, and in the meantime, any explanation of their true energetic import would be meaningless. The new oncoming terminology will throw light on the ancient formulas, and in time you'll see how much can be conveyed to the intelligent healer of that new generation by what seems to you both disappointing without use or significance and needlessly abstruse. In this interim period between the past and that which is on its way, it is not easy for even a master of the wisdom to speak or teach, particularly in connection with the theme of healing. The physical body is not yet generally recognized as an electrical unit. Its nature as pure atomic energy is not yet realized. The fact of the energy body, the etheric vehicle, is not at this time recognized in the teachings of the modern medical schools. Though the fact has been discussed, and the explosive nature of energy when in contact with force, or of the soul in relation to substance, is completely unknown or veiled in mystical language, until such time as the new scientific formulas and the new approach, which the discovery of the release of the atomic energy has made possible, have become more generally understood, are a familiar subject of discussion and couched in familiar language. The coming science of healing must remain behind a veil of unsuitable language and hidden by inappropriate words. This fact, as I have oft told you, handicaps all new presentations of truth. The language of the electrical engineer or of the automobile draftsman, for instance, would have been entirely meaningless to the average man 100 years ago. So it is with the new themes and the great discoveries which are on their way and will eventually affect every department of human life, including the art of healing. That was the end of chapter 7. So chapter 8 now. That's meditation, the seventh ray impact. How's everybody doing? Everybody okay? Hi Delaney, thank you for coming. Great to see you. Hi Scotty Boy, great to see you. Thank you for coming. Good to see you all, guys. Thank you for joining me. Do appreciate you all very much. Try not to miss anybody. That's one good thing about having such an intimate chat room. I can afford to not miss anybody. If there was hundreds of you, it's a bit hard then. Feel sorry for Wayne sometimes. Right. Anyway, give you guys to chat. Hi Elderberry, thank you very much for coming. Okay, guys, we're on chapter 8, meditation, the seventh ray impact. Starts off with subheading the occult form. We studied the method whereby the mystic attains union, and outlined very briefly the path whereby he attempts to reach his goal. Today, we will outline as briefly the course taken by the occultist and his type of meditation, contrasting it with that of the mystic, and pointing out later how the two have to merge and the individual elements be fused into one. The line of form is, for the occultist, the line of least resistance, and incidentally, I might here interpolate a thought. The fact being admitted, we may therefore look with some certainty at this time for a rapid development of occult knowledge, and for the appearance of some true occultists. By the coming in of the seventh ray, the ray of form of ritual, the finding of the occult path and the assimilation of occult knowledge is powerfully facilitated. The occultist is at first occupied more with the forms through which the deity manifests than with the deity himself. And it is here that the fundamental difference between the two types is at first apparent. The mystic eliminates or endeavors to transcend mind in his process of finding the self. The occultist, through his intelligent interest in the forms which veil the self, and by the employment of the principle of mind on both its levels, arrives at the same point. He recognizes the sheaths that veil. He applies himself to the study of the laws that govern the manifested solar system. He concentrates on the objective, and in his earlier years may at times overlook the value of the subjective. He arrives eventually at the central life by the elimination through conscious knowledge and control of sheath after sheath. He meditates upon form until the form is lost sight of, and the creator of the form becomes all in all. I think I do a kind of mixture of those. Okay, so next subsection, the day of opportunity. The question might here be asked, wherein this information is of value to the student. In an illustration of this, it would be wise if students would ponder the significance of the coming in of the present ray of ceremonial law or magic. It is the ray that deals with the building forces of nature, that concerns itself with the utilization of the form intelligently by the life aspect. It is largely the ray of executive work with the object of building, coordinating, and producing cohesion in the four lower kingdoms of nature. It is distinguished largely by the energy which manifests itself in ritual, but this word ritual must not be narrowed down to its present use in connection with Masonic or religious ritual. Its application is far wider than this and includes the methods of organization which are demonstrated in all civilized communities, such as in the world of commerce and of finance, and the great business organizations everywhere to be seen. Above all, its interest lies for us in the fact that it is the ray which brings opportunity to the Occidental races. And through the medium of this life force of executive organization, of government, by rule and order, by rhythm and by ritual, will come the time wherein the Occidental races, with their active, concrete mind and their vast business capacity, can take intention and initiation. We must remember upon a ray which is temporarily recognized as a major ray. A larger number of the initiates of those who have obtained adeptship in the last cycle have been Orientals and those in Hindu bodies. This cycle has been dominated by the sixth ray, which is just passing out, and the two preceding in the preservation of equilibrium. The time now comes when a period of attainment by Occidentals will be seen, and this upon a ray suited to their type of mind. It is interesting to note that the Oriental type attains its objectives through meditation, with a modicum of executive organization and ritual, and that the Occidental will achieve largely through the organization which lower mind produces, and a type of meditation of which intense business concentration might be considered an illustration. The one-pointed application of the mind by a European or American businessman might be regarded as a type of meditation. In the purification of motive, lying back of this application will come, for the Occidental, his day of opportunity. You will see, therefore, that when the real occult work is begun, the method may differ, and will necessarily differ in the East and in the West, but the goal will be the same. It must be borne in mind, for instance, that a meditation that would aid the development of an Oriental might bring danger and disaster to his Western brother. The reverse would also be the case, but always the goal will be the same. Forms may be individually or collectively Forms may be individual or collective. Mantras may be chanted by units or by groups. Different centers may be the object of specialized attention, yet the results will be identical. Danger arises when the Occidental bases his endeavors on ritual that suffice for the Oriental, as has at times been so widely pointed out. In the wisdom of the great ones, this danger is being offset. Different methods for different races, diverse forms for those of various nationalities, but the same wise guides on the inner planes. The same great hall of wisdom, the same great initiation, admitting all into the inner sanctuary. In concluding this subject, I seek to give a hint. The seventh ray of ceremonial law or order, the ray now coming into power, provides for the Occidental what has long been the privilege of the Oriental. Great is the day of opportunity, and in the sweeping onward of this seventh force comes the needed impetus that may, if rightly grasped, drive to the feet of the Lord of the world, the dweller in the Occident. That's the end of that paragraph. How are we doing, guys? Okay. Hey, hi Nina. Thank you for joining me, Neil and Estic. Appreciate you coming. Thank you very much, lovely. I think it's Canada Day soon, isn't it? Happy Canada Day for whenever that is, Nina. Hey, Brandy, great to see you. I really, really enjoyed that poem. Thank you. That was great. Thank you, Nina. I might learn to play the guitar one day. I'm only joking. Right, carrying on with the book. Okay, next section. Now I would emphatically point out to you the fact that all that I now impart is a portion of a tentative plan, which has in vain the hastening of the evolution of the higher mind and a bringing under control of the bodies of men, through the power of the God within. This plan has been drawn up in vain of the crying need of a world in which the mental equipment of men is increasing out of all proportion to their emotional balance and to keep their physical equipment. The rapid advance of knowledge, the spreading of the educational system, which brings the product of many minds into the environment of the very poor, the ability of all to read and write in such a country as America or among the other Anglo-Saxon races, has been the cause of a very real, I might almost say an unexpected, problem arising to confront the great ones. Mental development, when paralleled by the emotional stability of a strong, healthy body, is the aim for all. But now you have mental development paralleled by an unstable astral and a weak, underfed badly raised physical, hence disorder, lack of balance, the clouding of the vision, and disproportionate discussion. Lower mind, instead of being a means to an end and a weapon for use, is in fair way of being a ruler and a tyrant, preventing the play of the intuition and the shutting out of the abstract mind. Hence the masters, if it can in any way be accomplished, purpose a movement that has in vain the harnessing of the lower mind through the instrumentally of the people themselves. With this objective in view, they plan to utilize the incoming ray of ceremonial law or organization and the period immediately coincident or following the coming of the Great Lord, to start these schools in a small, inconspicuous way at first, and bring to the consciousness of men everywhere the following four fundamentals. A. The evolutionary history of man from the mental side. B. The septenary constitution of the macrocosm and the microcosm. C. The laws governing man's being. And D. The method of occult development. A beginning has already been made through the various schools at present extant. All these are the beginnings of the plan. When they are firmly grounded, when they are working smoothly and with public recognition, and when the world of men is being somewhat coloured by them and their subjective emphasis, when they are producing scholars and workers, politicians and scientists, and educational leaders who make their impress on their environment, then mayhap will come the time for the founding in exoteric fashion of the true occult school. Obviously, occult just meaning hidden knowledge. By that, I mean that if the earlier schools and colleges do their work satisfactorily, they will have demonstrated to the world of men that the subjective is the true reality and that the lower is but the stepping stone to the higher. This subjective reality, being universally admitted, will therefore permit of the founding of a chain of inner schools that will be publicly recognized. This will never at any time obviate the necessity for always having an esoteric and secret section, for always there will be certain truths and facts of dangerous import to the uninitiated. But what I seek to point out is that the mysteries will eventually be admitted as facts for universal recognition and for universal aim and goal. They will be prepared for and entered from schools that definitely undertake under expert guidance the trained novice to train novitiates. Oh, yeah, that word. Novitiates for the mysteries. I think it must mean initiate. Such schools have existed before and are in the turning of the wheel again. They will be in manifestation. You ask when? That depends on humanity itself and on all of you who work with faith and aspiration at the beginning of the plan. HPB laid the foundation stone of the first school in this particular lesser cycle, which is nevertheless the relatively important one, being an outgrowth of the fifth root race, the efflorus. This is a fun book for a dyslexic, I can tell you. The efflorences of the fifth principle. This is the keystone the work produces in the founding of, as aforesaid, of the various schools and mental sciences. Also, it has its place. It will go forward as desired if each one who is now under occult training strains every nerve and bends every effort to the work in hand. If all that is possible is done, When the great Lord comes with his masters, the work will receive a still further impetus and will gradually expand and grow till it becomes a power in the world. Then will come the day of the occult schools that will definitely train men for initiation. The ray on which a man's causal body is found, the egoic ray, should determine the type of meditation. Make sense? Each ray necessitates a different method of approach. For the aim of all meditation is union with the divine. At this stage, it is union with a spiritual triad that has its lowest reflection on the mental plane. Let me illustrate briefly. When the egoic ray is the seventh, or ray of ceremonial law or magic, the method is that of the glorification and comprehension of form in approach. As said earlier, the goal of all the meditation practices is approach to the divine within each one, and through that approach to the deity himself. The method, therefore, is the bringing under law, order, and rule of every act of the life in all three bodies, and the building within the causal body of an expanding form that results in the shattering of that body. It is the building of the shrine under certain rules into a dwelling place for the Shekinah. And when the spiritual light flames forth, the temple of Solomon rocks, reels, and disintegrates. It is the study of the law and the consequent comprehension by the man of how that law is wielded and why. It is then the definite application of that law to the body of cause, so as to render it needless and thus affect its sharing. Emancipation is the result of the man, and the man frees himself from the three worlds. Many occultists are coming in on this ray at this time to continue the liberating process. It is the method that leads a man to liberation through the understanding and the intelligent application of the law to his own life and to the ameliorating of conditions in the body of humanity, thus making the man a server of his race. That's the end of that one. Thank you. Everybody okay? Looks like you're all having a good chat, isn't it? Still awake? Ask somebody to send me a message, make sure I'm still awake. Don't know if you sleep on camera, it'll happen one day. Shouldn't say that, curse myself now. Right, we've got 2 pages left of this chapter. Okay, until now we have dealt more with the personal aspects of meditation and have considered the 2 types that are practically universal and fundamental. Having studied briefly A, meditation as followed by the mystic, and B, meditation as pursued by the occultist. We have largely generalized and have not in any way attempted to enter into particulars. It is neither desirable at this stage nor proper. At a certain point in meditation, nevertheless, when the pupil has made the desired progress and covered certain specific stages and attained certain objectives, which attainment can be ascertained by a review of the pupil's causal body, and when a foundation of right living has been laid, which neither storms nor attack will be liable, easily to upset or destroy, the teacher may impart to the earnest pupil instructions whereby he can build in mental matter and under definite rules, forms that will lead to specific actions and reactions. These forms will be imparted gradually, and at times the pupil, this especially at first, may not be in the least conscious of the results achieved. He will obey the orders, say the imparted words, or work through the outlined formulas, and the results attained may do their work even through the pupil is unconscious of the fact. And that feeling. Later, especially after initiation, as subtler facilities come into activity and centers are rotating in fourth dimensional order, he may be aware of these effects of his meditation on the emotional and mental planes. Results never concern us. Strict obedience to the law and steady adherence to the rules laid down with skill in action aimed at are the part of the wise pupil. The effects then are sure and carry no karma with them. Let us take up each of the forms in order, but first I would give a warning. Do not intend to outline forms or to give specific instructions as to how the results indicated may be achieved. That will be done later, but when, it is not possible to say. So much depends upon the work done during the next 7 years or on the group karma. Also on the progress made not only by the human hierarchy but by the Deva or angel evolutions as well. The secret of it all lies hid in the seventh ceremonial ray, and the hour for the next step onward will be given by the seventh planetary logos, working in conjunction with three great lords, especially the lord of the third department. Next section, building the Antahakarana. I think I said that right. Antahakarana, yeah. Until the stage of projection is reached, the methods employed by all disciples on all rays are identical. Their intention is one, and they all have to attain the same measure of attention and of preparation for construction of the bridge by gathering the needed energy from two sources, the personality and the soul. By this focusing and its resultant tension, by thus evoking the spiritual triad and starting the dual processes of building from both ends of the bridge, if such a phrase is possible and permissible. The work goes forward and form uniformly. The use of the creative imagination is now called forth, and this forms the second stage. This presents a real difficulty in the first ray and the seventh ray aspirants. Neither type can with facility organize the material energy, orient energy currents, and see their objectives clearly in the mind's eye, pictorially. It is a process which is profoundly difficult for them. It must, however, in some way be done, because the use of the visual imagination is an essential factor in the building process of one of the major means of focusing prior to projection. So if that's a bit glary, I can't see the page properly. It is along the Antahakarana that the forces used by the initiate must pour, and according to the nature of the work to be done will be the particular strand or thread of the rainbow bridge which the initiate employs. There are 4 veils of Maya, constructed necessarily of 7 forces, and these produce the factual and phenomenal aspects in time and space of the great illusion. In its 3 forms of illusion, glamour and Maya, there are 7 points of energy through which different aspects of the forces needed to produce the desired effects within the veils of Maya can flow, and these correspond to the 7 ray types or qualities, but the major type of energy with which the initiate works upon the physical plane is the 7th, the ray or energy of ritual, of ceremony, of order and law. The work done within the veils is one of rearrangement and the ordination and coordination of the forces. Present as existent Maya, this must provide in time and space the forms through which the plans of the hierarchy can materialize. The souls of all forms can be subjected to the needed experience and so progress towards the fulfillment of the will of God. extremely short one. It says word power, Ray 7, ceremonial law and order, the highest and the lowest meet. That's it. So you can see it. That's it. That's all it said. Right, chapter 9. How are we doing for time? Hi Jules, great to see you. Thank you for coming, lovely. Thank you for all your work in Discord. It's Jules that runs Discord for me. He's doing a brilliant job in there. Thank you, Jules. Do appreciate you very, very much. Well, I do have a lot more time on my hands now, but you're still doing it. Thank you. Do appreciate you very much. Right, before we start on to chapter 9, just have a little quick check, see how you're all doing in there. It's about the only social life I've got outside of work these days. I've known most of you for over 5 years, I think, now, haven't we? It's been quite a long time for range chat and everything. And I love you all very, very, very much with all my heart. I mean that. That looks like you're okay in there. Don't think I've missed anybody. Thank you for staying with me, those that have stayed with me. So we've got 5 of you in there at the moment. We've got 12 thumbs up too, so that's great. Thank you guys. Hey, you're still there, Al. Hey, Al. I'll chat with you later, Al, about that video. Anybody not knowing what I'm referring to, obviously, just making a little video for you guys to see the cards. The Soul Tribe cards. I think most of you are actually in. So we'll have a Dave style video coming your way soon, showcasing the cards, okay? I'll show it to Al first. Hi Adna, very nice to see you. Thank you very much for coming, very grateful. Okay, it's a good time joining me there, Adnan. Adnan Corner. We're on chapter 9 now. Let's just see how we're looking there. Yeah, it's only a couple of pages. So yeah, the next section after this one I'll be doing, by the look of it, over at least 2, possibly 3 shows, just to kind of show you that's what we've read so far, and that's all the last chapter. So it's probably going to take me at least 2 shows to get through, okay? Thank you, Joe. That's what it's all about, unity, synchronicity, synchronization. We're all helping each other out where we can. Good job, thank you. Okay, chapter 10, guys. The effects of the incoming 7th ray. Hang on, no, that's chapter 10. We're on chapter 9. Get ahead of myself there. Chapter 9, the 7th ray and initiation. It's funny, I don't know if any of you have experienced this through, I know Trina's done a really good book, I forget which one it was now. Trina was reading a really good book and is going into the initiations that people go through. And this one is touching on it so far, but you don't really even realise that you're going through an initiation. Very interesting. Don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. You'll have experiences like happen in your life, or meditations and what have you, and get your epiphanies, your enlightenments, and that's your initiation. So it brings you in and deepens your knowledge. Makes you more capable then to receive the next stage, isn't it? Anyway, enough of my waffling. Right. Chapter 9, the 7th ray and initiation. Initiation 1. The birth at Bethlehem. Ray 7. The energy or order of ceremonial magic. First of all, let us consider the type of energy which the 7th ray expresses, and wherein lies its potency and efficiency from the angle of initiation. As we study these initiations and their conditioning rays, we will divide our ideas into 3 parts. Part 1, the type of energy and its quality in relation to the processes of the particular initiation with which it is associated. Part 2, Its effect upon humanity, regarding humanity as a world species, a world disciple, don't know where I got species from. Part 3, the stimulating nature of the energy as it expresses itself. And there's a subsection under this one, so it's 3a, in the three aspects of the initiate's nature, mental, astral, and physical. 3b, through the soul-infused personality, the initiate in good standing, a phrase of the deepest occult implication. I think you're right there, Adam. I think you're right there. That's why it was spraying the skies. Anybody that can't see chat, Adnan just said that I think that the weekend magnetic fields have opened up the skies for the energy to come into this world, and our brains are and have been catching up. I think you're spot on there with the extra rays coming in. Really, it's not hot in Dubai. Sounds strange. It certainly is here on occasion. But if you think about light being, sorry to just a little deviation a moment, if you think about light as being an information and the amount of information traveling in that light produces the heat, if you will, then maybe there's not as much information in the light getting down that far. The curvature of the Earth, which is kind of an equator down there, aren't you? 38 degrees C is not normal here. Flipping hot here, I can tell you. So yeah, it's not just the sun that the light's coming from, it's the extra solar rays as well that's impacting our bodies and everything else. You can tell that. It's like here in the UK, it can be a totally cloudy day. You're freezing cold because of the wind chill and what have you, but then you'll see there'll be a break in the clouds. Next thing you know, you're melting. That's the information hitting your body, producing, and the heat is the effects of it. That's the way I see it, anywho. 49 to 51, I can't believe that. Must be crazy stepping off an aeroplane to get out into those temperatures, especially when you come from this country where it's usually in the teens. Manchester, it's usually pretty rainy and what have you there. Anyway, we're going to get back to the book. On the days I'm not reading the book, or a book, because I do plan on going live more. We can have good chats and what have you, the chat room and interactions and what have you, but I've got to get back to the book now for anybody trying to catch up and what have you, okay? Hopefully I've saved the chat so anybody can keep up with what's going on. I'm still learning now. That's right. Thank you, Adnan. I've managed to remember where I am this time. Okay, sorry for the deviation there, guys. At this particular time in the world history, 7th ray energy is of a growing potency because it is the new and incoming ray, superseding the 6th ray, which has for so long held sway. When we speak of ray energy, we are in reality considering the quality and the will, purpose, aspect of a certain great life to whom we give the name Lord of a ray. You'll find much about these ray lords in the earlier volumes of a treatise on the 7th rays. His divine intention, will, purpose, or the determined projection of his mind creates a radiation or stream of energy which, according to type and quality, plays upon all forms of manifested life within our planetary ring passes not. These lords of the rays are the creating and sustaining energies which implement the will of the planetary logos. They cooperate with him in the defining and the expression of his supreme purpose. Their radiating emanations are cyclically objectified and are cyclically withdrawn as they radiate forth into the three worlds. The impacting energies produce changes disturbances, progressions, and involvement. They create the needed new forms and vitalize and qualify that through which the immediate divine intention is expressing itself. They intensify both the quality and the receptivity of the consciousness. At other times during the process of being withdrawn to their own place, they cause the fading out of dying of forms, aspects of initiations, and the organizing organisms. To use a peculiar phrase, they are therefore produce cycles of destruction and of cessation, and thus make room for those new forms and life expressions which in incoming ray will produce. It has been the gradual withdrawing of the sixth ray of idealism, of one-pointed devotion, which has been responsible for the ferment, crystallization, destruction, death, and cleavages of the past century. All things are passing away as the Lord of the sixth ray withdraws his attention and therefore his energy. His radiation is today no longer centered or focused in the life of the three worlds. Simultaneously, the energy and radiation of the Lord of the seventh ray are becoming steadily more powerful in the three worlds. Just a second. Hey, I'm Genevieve. Thank you very much for joining me. Bonjour. Great to see you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming, Genevieve. This incoming ray always produces an intensified period of initiatory activity, and this is the case today. The major effect, as far as humanity is concerned, is to make possible the presentation of thousands of aspirants and applicants for the first initiation. Men on a large scale and in mass formation can today pass through the experience of the birth initiation. Thousands of human beings can experience the birth of the Christ within themselves and can realize that the Christ life, the Christ nature, and the Christ consciousness are theirs. I know that to be true. This new birth initiation of the human family will take place in Bethlehem, symbolically understood for Bethlehem in the house of bread, and an occult term signifying physical plane experience. These great initiations, implemented by the ray energies, must be registered in the physical brain and recorded by the waking consciousness of the initiate. And this must be the case in this amazing period wherein, for the first time since humanity appeared on the earth, there can take place a mass initiation. The experience need not be expressed in occult terms, and in the majority of cases will not be. The individual initiate who takes this initiation is aware of great changes in his attitude to himself, to his fellow men, to circumstances, and to his interpretation of life events. These are peculiarly the reactions which attend the first initiation, a new orientation to life and a new world of thought, and are registered by the initiate. This will be equally true on a large scale where modern man, the world initiate of the first degree, is concerned. Men will recognize the evidences in many lives of the emergence of the Christ consciousness, and the standard of living will increasingly be adjusted to the truth as it exists in the teachings of the Christ. The developing Christ consciousness is in the masses of men will create necessarily a firmament in the daily life of peoples everywhere. The life of the personality, orientated hitherto to the attaining of material and purely selfish ends, will be at war with the new and inner realization. The carnal man, to use the words of Paul the initiate, will be battling the spiritual man, each seeking to achieve control in the early stages after the birth, and during the infancy of the Christ child, again speaking in symbols. The material aspect is triumphant. Later, the Christ life triumphs. This you well know. Each initiation indicates a stage in the growth and development of this new factor in the human consciousness and expression, and this continues until the third initiation, when there emerges the full-grown man in Christ. The initiate is then ready at the fifth initiation to register, realize, and record the long-awaited revelation. In connection with the individual and the first initiation, the seventh ray is always active, and the man is enabled consciously to register the fact of initiation, because either the brain or the mind, and frequently both, are controlled by the seventh ray. It is this fact which is of importance today in connection with humanity, for it will enable mankind to pass through the door, admitting them to the first initiatory process. It will be apparent to you why the present period in which human beings, in large groups, can take the first initiation corresponds to a situation in which bread is the major interest of men everywhere. Humanity will pass through this birth initiation and manifest the Christ life on a large scale for the first time during a period of economic adjustment, of which the word bread is but a symbol. This period started in the year 1825 and will continue until the end of this century. The unfoldment, and that would be in the 20th century, the unfoldment of the Christ life as a result of the presence and activities of the second divine aspect of life will result in the ending of the economic fear, and the house of bread will become the house of plenty. Bread, as a symbol of material human need, will eventually be controlled by a vast group of initiates of the first initiation, by those whose lives are beginning to be controlled by the Christ consciousness, which is the consciousness of responsibility and service. These initiates exist in their thousands today. They will be present in their millions by the time the year 2025 arrives. Getting close. All this reorientation and unfoldment will be the result of the activity of the seventh ray and the impact of the radiation upon humanity. And this is the reason why I'm reading this book to you guys, because 2025 is nearly here, and as they said, there's going to be millions of us. Some people don't know what's going on with themselves, so hopefully they'll find this and find out why. The seventh ray is par excellence, the medium of relationship. It brings together the two fundamental aspects of spirit and matter. It relates soul and form, and where humanity is concerned, it relates soul and personality. In the first initiation, it makes the initiate aware of that relation. It enables him to take advantage of this approaching duality, and by the perfecting of the contact to produce upon the physical plane the emergence into manifestation of the new man. At the first initiation, through the stimulation brought about by seventh ray energy, the personality of the initiate and the hovering, overshadowing soul are consciously brought together. The initiate then skip the line there, sorry, that's my dyslexia kicking in. The initiate then knows that he is for the first time a soul-infused personality. His task is now to grow into the likeliness of what he essentially is. This development is demonstrated at the third initiation, at the transfiguration. The major function of this seventh ray is to bring together the negative and positive aspect of the natural processes. It consequently governs the sex relationship of all forms, and it is the potency underlying the marriage relation, and hence as this ray comes into manifestation in this world cycle, we have the appearance of fundamental sex problems, license, disturbances in the marriage relation, divorce, and the setting in motion of those forces which will eventually produce a new attitude to sex and the establishing of those practices, attitudes, and moral perceptions which will govern the relation between the sexes during the coming new age. The first initiation is therefore closely related to this problem. The seventh ray governs the sacral center and the sublimation of its energy into the throat or into the higher creative center. This ray is therefore setting in motion a period of tremendous creative activity, both on the material plane through the stimulation of the sex life of all peoples, and in the three worlds through the stimulation brought about when soul and form are consciously related. The first major proof that humanity, through the medium of the majority of its advanced people, has undergone the first initiation will be the appearance of a cycle of entirely new creative art. This creative urge will take forms which will express the new incoming energy. Just as the period governed by the sixth ray has culminated in a world wherein men work in great workshops and factories to produce the plethora of objects men deem needful for their happiness and well-being, so in the seventh ray cycle we shall see men engaged on an even larger scale in the field of creative art, like TikTok and YouTube and things like that, I guess. Devotion to objects will eventually be superseded by the creation of that which will more truly express the real ugliness, and materiality will give place to beauty and reality. On a large scale, humanity has already been led from darkness to light, and the light of knowledge fills the land. In the period which lies ahead, and under the influencing radiation of the seventh ray, humanity will be led from the unreal to the real. This is the first initiation, makes possible for the individual and will make possible for the masses of men. Seventh ray energy is the energy needed to bring order out of chaos and rhythm to replace disorder. It is this energy which will bring in the new world order for which all men wait. It will restore the ancient landmarks, indicate the new institutions and forms of civilization and culture which human progress demands, and nurture the new life and the new states of consciousnesses which advanced humanity will increasingly register. Nothing can arrest this activity. All that is happening today as men search for the new ways for organized unity and peaceful security is being implemented through the incoming ray of order or ceremonial magic. The white magic of right human relation cannot be stopped. It must inevitably demonstrate effectively, because the energy of this seventh ray is present and the Lord of the ray is cooperating with the Lord of the world to bring about the needed reforming. Soul-infused personalities acting under this ray influence will create the new world, express the new qualities, and institute those new regimes and organized modes of creative activity which will demonstrate the new livingness and new techniques of living. It is the distortion of these seventh ray ideals and the prostitution of this incoming energy to serve the unenlightened and selfish ambitions of greedy men which has produced those totalitarian systems which today so terribly imprison the free spirit of men. To sum up what I have said, number one, the energy of the seventh ray is the potent agent of the initiation when taken on the physical plane, that is, during the process of the first initiation. Number two, its effect upon humanity will be A. To bring about the birth of the Christ consciousness among the masses of intelligently aspiring human beings. B. To set in motion certain relatively new evolutionary processes which will transform humanity, the world disciple, into humanity, the world initiate. C, to establish in a new and intelligible manner the ever-existent sense of relationship and thus bring about upon the physical plane right human relations. The agent of this goodwill, a reflection of the will to good of the first divine aspect. Of this first ray of will or purpose, goodwill is the reflection. D, to read just negative and positive relationships, and today this will be carried forward primarily in connection with the sex relation and marriage. E, to intensify human creativity and thus bring in new art as a basis for the new culture and as a conditioning factor in the new civilization. F, to recognize world affairs and so initiate the new world order. This is definitely the realm of ceremonial magic. And then 3, the stimulation of the seventh ray will, in relation to the individual initiate. 3a, bring into being upon the mental plane a widespread and recognized relation between the soul and the mind. 3b, produce a measure of order in the emotional processes of the initiate, thus aiding the preparatory work of the second initiation. And 3c, enable the initiate upon the physical plane to establish certain service relationships, to learn the practice of elementary white magic, and to demonstrate the first stage of a truly creative life. Hi Thomas S, great to see you. Thank you for joining me. Really good to see you. I'm just getting distracted. Lovely thing to say, Thomas. Namaste. As far as the individual initiate is concerned, the effect of seventh ray energy in his life is potent in the extreme. This is easily realized owing to the fact that his mind and his brain are conditioned by the seventh ray at the time that the initiatory process is consciously taking place. The effect of this upon the mental plane is similar to that seen on a much larger scale in the planet, for it was this ray energy which the planetary Logos utilized when he brought together the major dualities of spirit and matter at the commencement of his creative work. The two aspects of the mind, the lower concrete mind and the soul, the son of mind, become more closely related and enter eventually into a conscious, recognized association on the astral plane. It is the seventh ray which restores order within the astral consciousness and on the mental plane. It is this influence which produces creativity, the organizing of the life and the bringing together within the head of the lower and higher energies in such a manner that the Christ is born. This latter point we shall consider in some detail when we take up the significance of the initiations. We shall then find that the relationship between the pituitary body and the pineal gland is involved. Finally, it is the seventh ray energy which, in the initiatory process between the first and second initiations, enables the initiate. I want to say that after a couple of drinks, which enables the initiate in his physical plane life to demonstrate a developing sense of order and of organization, to express consciously and increasingly a desire to help his fellow men, and thereby establish relationship with them, and to make his life creative in many ways. All these factors are embryonic in his nature, but the now beginnings are to consciously lay the foundation for the future initiatory work. The physical disciples are at this time of great importance, though their value is frequently overemphasized and their effect is not always good. The relationship established and fostered are sometimes of small value, owing to the disciple being usually self-centered and thus lacking from ignorance and lack of discrimination, complete purity of motive. Nevertheless, the changes brought about by the influence of this way become increasingly effective from life to life. The disciple's relation to the hierarchy, the reorganizing of his life on the physical plane, and his growing effort to demonstrate the esoteric sense of white magic will become more and more vital until he is ready for the second initiation. That's the end of that paragraph. Bear with me 1 second. Before I have a quick sip of water, it's a bit bright, isn't it? Looks like I'm glowing. Just a bit better. Right. The third and fifth rays are peculiarly active upon the path of discipleship, just as the sixth and fourth are dominant upon the path of evolution, and the first and seventh upon the path of initiation. The second ray controls and dominates all the other rays, as you well know. Thus, the work of magical reformation starts, and it is here that the influence of the seventh ray, which governs the first initiation, enters in. One of the functions of this ray is to bring together soul and body, the higher and the lower life and forms, spirit and matter. This is the creative task confronting the disciple, who is engaged in lifting the energies of the sacral center to the throat center and of establishing a right relation between the personality and the soul. Just as the Antahakarana has to be constructed and established as a bridge of light between the spiritual triad and the soul-infused personality, so a similar bridge or correspondence is established between the soul and the personality, and in connection with the mechanism of the disciple between the two head centers and the two glands within the head. When that line of light has related the higher spiritual aspects and the lower, and when the sacral center and the throat center are in true related alignment, the initiate disciple becomes a creative worker under the divine plan and a magical exponent of the divine building work. He is then a constructive force wielding energy consciously, on the physical plane. He creates forms as expressions of reality. This is a true work of magic. You can see, therefore, that in the creative work, three energies are brought into related activity. Number one, the energy concentrated in the ajna center, which is indicative of the personality life. Two, the energy concentrated in the head center as the result of soul activity. Number three, the energy of the seventh ray of ceremonial order or magic, making possible true creative activity under the divine plan. There is nothing spectacular to be told anent the first initiation. The initiate disciple still works in the dimly lit cave of the spiritual birth. He has to continue his struggle to reveal divinity, primarily on the physical plane, symbolized for us in the word Bethlehem, which means the house of bread. He has to learn the dual function of lifting up the lower energies into the light and at the same time of bringing down the higher energies into the bodily expression. Thus he becomes a white magician. At this initiation, he sees for the first time what are the major energies which he must bring into expression, and this vision is summed up for him in the old commentary in the following words. When the rod of initiation descends and touches the lower part of the spine, there is a lifting up where the eyes are opened in the light. That which must be lowered into the form is now perceived. The vision is acknowledged. The burden of the future is assumed. The cave is lighted up, and the new man issues forth. And that is the end of chapter 9. Hope you enjoyed that. Some good stuff in there. Chapter 10 next time. As I showed you earlier, that's a big old chunk of the book. That's the book done then. So I'll probably break that down to 2, possibly 3 shows. I'm not sure exactly. See how we go when we get into it. Quite a lot in there. I hope it's becoming apparent to some people that may see why I chose this book. It kind of chose me, to be honest, as one of the first ones I go live with. It literally jumped off the shelf with me. There's a lot of stuff in here as to what's going on in the world now, as to what's gone on in the world over the last couple of decades, and I think this kind of goes a ways to explaining what and why that has happened. Just a lot of people are being initiated one way or another through these processes. Right then, have I missed anything interesting in chat? I hope you've all enjoyed that. Thank you, Teresa. I think you're listening to that shopping. That's some heavy listening while you're shopping. Thank you very much, Jules. Nice thing to say. Thank you. Wish I could get voiceover work. Lots of people have said that. I used to work in call centres, if you can believe that. Always ended up a supervisor in whichever call centres I worked in, which was always fun. Anyway, that was a different life. We don't want to go into that one. But yes, I have spoken for a living before. And did very well at it, actually. When I was in my previous life. Right, well, thank you all very much for joining me. We've got 8 of you there in the chat, 7 of you in the chat there now. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who does tune into my shows or watch any of my previous videos. Very grateful for you joining me on my journey. I never realised that the journey would ultimately end up being a journey inwards as rather outwards. It's not until I read thousands of books, studied different religions, different sciences, all sorts, I even studied fractals just so I could better understand what a fractal was. But I didn't ever realise that the ultimate journey would be within, and the confirmation that I was seeking outwardly within all these texts came from within. So yeah, really appreciate you all joining me along the journey. You're all great company. It's great how we all bounce ideas on and what have you off each other. Everybody's got a little piece of the puzzle and we're all bringing it together. It's really good to see. On those lines of bringing pieces of the puzzle together, please don't forget that I did create a Discord chat group for the Soul Tribe. A couple of years back, people were saying very often in Wayne's channel, primarily, because that's where we all kind of met up, mostly, that it'd be great if we all had somewhere to chat and carry on conversations from the shows on afterwards. So I created my the Discord server, chat room. That was the platform I could find at the time. So please do join the chat room. I've left a link to the Discord in the link below, which Jules does a very good job of administering for me. There's about 200 people in there at the moment, I think. 200 people in there at the moment. It'd be great to see if we could get more people in there. There's some interesting conversations, and I created lots of different rooms. There's ones for recipes, there's one for meditations, there's ones for the library, which has got a lot of information in it now, which will set you on the path to inwards knowledge. Yeah, we've got chat rooms for Wayne's show, Trina's show, Andromeda 7. My chat room's turned into general chat. So if you want to have a general chat, just pop in there. Andrea James, thank you very much for joining me, lovely. Great to see you, thank you. The puzzle is coming together. There was a thought, I know it's only, we've only got 7 viewing here. The thought I had, I think I did mention it on one of Wayne's shows. I do have a concern about trying my best to help everybody. And if any of you have studied Hinduism, the concept of the Atman and the concept that he wakes up, it sleeps, dreams, wakes up, sleeps, dreams. We're existent in that dream. Now, the more of us that wake up, we hasten the end. We actually hasten it, waking up. And when it wakes up, all those energies disperse and then come back together again for the new dream. So in our rush to awaken the world, could we possibly be hastening the end? Not an end, obviously, as such. I don't know what it would physically look like, but we'll all be back again for around however many, won't we? So yeah, just a thought I had one day that I thought I'd share with you guys. That in our hastiness to actually gain all these things possible. Anyway, it's just the way my mind works. Hope you all have a lovely day, morning, evening, whatever you're having. Most of you in America, so I guess you're having evenings now, afternoons and evenings. In India, I guess it must be pretty late over there, isn't it? Pretty late. Thank you for joining me, Adnan. And everybody else. And I will see you all very soon for chapter 10. Oh, hi, Amy. Thank you very much for joining me. You made it to a live show. Too late, my lovely. I'm just about to sign off now, but obviously go back and you can rewatch. How long have we been on for? Okay, now 10 o'clock. Yeah, now. So good to see you all. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for hanging on in there. Yeah, I love you all so much. You're my family. I chose tribe because you choose to be with a tribe. Don't choose to be with family. So you're my tribe, my soul tribe. I'll see you all soon. Like I said, thank you for joining me for the journey. Really good journey. Namaste, all of you. Divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. Okay. I will see you all very, very soon. Take care, look after each other, be kind where you can, be helpful where you can. Be the frequency you would like to see in the world as well as everything else, okay? I love you all. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.